Welcome to Halifax Sports Talk. This is your weekend preview. It's March 12th. Andrew and Daeden with you. We got Jeremy coming in just a few moments. Lacrosse and hockey, the theme of the show, but soon enough, it will be soccer season in the HRM with the Halifax Wanderers. Of course, the U Cup getting rolling next week in Halifax. 3 teams from the AUS officially going to be in that tournament, Daeden, as we found out. So pretty exciting. That's going to work out the way it does. So, but looking forward to the show today here. We're going to get Jeremy's thoughts on the big trade for the Thunderbirds and can they stay hot will be the theme and the question of the show, man. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Not too bad. As you said, it's quite literally heating up here in Nova Scotia. And it's not because of all the sports action. It's because it's actually heating up. It was like 14 yesterday. It's 17 today. No, other way around. 17 yesterday, 14 today. It's raining, but it's still warm, and I love it. I still want to go and see all that sports action that's coming up, especially with the Mooseheads playoff run coming up. See if they can actually squeak in, because I know they're right on the cusp with the team that they're playing this weekend. So every point is kind of crucial coming up.
100%. And like, it's just like, we'll bring in Jeremy with this. Jeremy, I was at the game last weekend. It was so much fun to be at, and I looked forward to chatting with you about it. Everybody talking was like, all I heard was win out, win out, win out. You can't afford to have one more L, in the schedule. So it's kind of exciting. Like it feels like it's the remainder of a season where it's like, hey, look, like every single game is a must win. And we always say it in the betting world, must win does not mean will win, because you put yourself in this position for a reason. But, one thing we talked about, Jeremy, and I tip my cap to you. I hope you heard it on our episode on Monday. You remained optimistic. You've been positive, and they had a little bit of an advantageous schedule over the past few weeks. Would have been nice to get that win against San Diego. But, hey, down 6-2 first quarter, or second quarter, I should say, first half. They ended up crawling back. I think it was only down 1 at halftime. They get the job done. How important was that win for them? And honestly, a team building win to really crawl back in that one.
Always optimistic, right? I mean, even after a pretty rough spell, and I believe on the one of the commentators said on the broadcast it was the longest that Halifax had gone without a home win, like since the team came to Halifax. So, always optimistic, but. A good game and a really great result. I'm envious that you were there. That would have been a really good one to see, similar to the one in Calgary that I was at a couple weeks ago, where at first it was back and forth. It wasn't looking like it was going to be a definitive win for the Thunderbirds, but then they pulled away and they kind of you could breathe a little bit easier. I know that second quarter, I mean, it was kind of it wasn't looking good when that started. Like you mentioned, 6-2, but by the time that was over, I mean, they were looking good at the half. But Las Vegas was a game opponent, right? Jameson, I thought, looked really good as the playmaker as he's kind of moved into that role. Like the guy can definitely still score, but I think he was like 1 goal, 3 assists, and I think that's kind of sort of what the role has been, right? Like he's still putting the ball in the net, but he's setting people up a lot more. There were some really great goals. Hill, once again, played great, but you know what? Not to take anything away from Las Vegas's goaltender, Landon Kelsey, he really kept them in it for sure. So yeah, you were at a great game. It is win out, most likely. I mean, we're looking at the schedule. We're trying to do the math. But the main thing is, right, like, let's not do any math. Let's just win out and make it in, because, like, as long as they're winning, they've got a really good shot at that. They're scratching at a playoff spot right now. There's still plenty of season left. So just win, baby.
Love it.
100%. I know you just said, let's just win. Let's not think about the math. But if they do win these next 2, it puts them in a really comfortable position. They've also got some tough games down the line. So they need some confidence, and they need something to really get them going. And I think these next 2 games could really be the games that really get them going. The Rock are a little bit higher up in the standings than them, but you never know. It's only a 7-5 record. It's not too much different. 2 more wins than the Thunderbirds. I think they could take them down. They could pull off the upset. And if the Birds keep it going, who knows what could happen. Jeremy, I'm excited for the playoffs if they come to Halifax, because I've never been to a Thunderbirds game in the playoffs, and I think it would be very exciting.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Toronto is up on them in the standings by a little bit, but I find Toronto is not the world beater that they've been in the past, right? And they are, I would say, a storied franchise in the NLL. I mean, I remember watching an exhibition game with the Toronto Rock, in Halifax more than 20 years ago, right? The team's been around forever. So they've always got a good squad, but Halifax proved in the last couple of weeks that they are not out of this, and they've made some moves that, have benefited them. Keogh this past week with 4 points, right? I mean, they just signed him a couple of weeks ago, brought him back, and what an impact he's making. Will McLeod got back on the score sheet. I think they ended up having like 9 scorers. And this is something we talked about a couple of weeks ago, right? Like the pillars, like guys like Clark Peterson and Randy Stotts, and then Jameson as well. They are performing, and unfortunately we didn't have Stotts in the lineup this past week. Really hoping that we do have him this weekend. But, the rest of the guys are starting to step up as well. We're seeing some really great performances out of, some of those guys outside of that top 3. And, even a guy like Jake Withers, who is the face-off master, he had 23 loose balls that he picked up. So when you've got guys doing that, you've got guys playing good defense, and you've got a goaltender who's standing on his head almost every game this season, things are looking good. And yeah, Toronto is a tough team. They're maybe not quite as dominant as they've been in the past, but they're no slouch. And Halifax is not going to take them lightly. They're going to want their fans to go home happy once again. It is a home game Friday night. I mean, if you're in Halifax, you should be at the Nest. If not, it is on TSN, so you can watch this one easily. It's going to be a good game, man. I'm really excited about this. And if we come away with 3 wins in a row, man, we're not going to see those big, great odds, on some of those gambling sites that we've been seeing over those odds makers are going to start to take notice, and they're going to, trim that back a little bit for sure, because Halifax, they came out strong at the beginning of the season. It's been a bit of a lull after that, but we seem to be hitting our stride now at a very important time.
Just checking my phone. I've just secured 2 tickets for tomorrow night. So good buddy Jake hooking me up with it. So shout out to Jake for that. I'll be at least buying him 1 or 2 beers at the game tomorrow night. So looking forward to that. And I think this team right now, I mean, you can always talk about the fan base. We've been pumping up the fan base for both the Mooseheads and the Birds for a long time, but you can appreciate the crowd getting going and supporting Hill, the king of the hill, in the second half. Because Jeremy, I'm not going to lie to you, first half probably could have used a save or 2. As I mentioned, down 6-2. And it's pretty cool because I'm not, I'm hearing the rumblings, keeping the ears wide open. And I hear people say, hey, we need a save here. We need a save. If it went to 7-2 or, 8-2, I mean, it's over, right? And they crawl their way back. I think a power play goal or 2 before halftime. And then Hill, I don't know if he had, Michael Jordan's magic juice or whatever it was from, the movie. But I mean, he was like a whole different guy in the second half. And I felt like that was a huge part. And Hill's been so huge. And one thing I noticed as well is the transition game from this team. How important do you think that is? Like, I've told you, I don't know a lot about lacrosse strategy. And I know sometimes you get set up and you want to get in your formations, but it seems like this team is built to play in transition the way, and even Hill was contributing, getting the ball up the court as fast as he possibly could.
Yeah. And there was even one point when he made a save, but the ball was out of the crease and he slammed his stick on it. And there was a couple of guys from Las Vegas that were right there, and the defenders are just like, basically what I'm trying to say is they were playing for every ball. Right. And Hill is someone who was doing that as well. I'm not going to say that I think that he wasn't playing well in the first half. And I don't think anybody really thought that. Like you said, we need a save kind of thing. There were some big chances for Las Vegas. Like, there's a reason why they took that big lead. They were passing the ball around really well. They were fast breaking really well. And that kind of got shut down a bit in that second half. And I think that was a big part of it, right? So I mean, it's not like, you know, a totally different guy put on Hill's gear and went out there or something. I think he was playing a good game throughout. The Thunderbirds just helped to really kind of limit the really good scoring chances, so that Hill wasn't kind of being, you know, left hung out to dry kind of thing, you know, on some really good chances. So that helped for sure going into the second half. And there ended up being a stretch there where there's like 20 minutes where there's only 2 goals in the entire game. So again, a testament to Hill and Kels, who were playing really well for both of their teams. The transition element, like you were mentioning, I mean, we saw a lot of really good transition on both sides. I remember seeing Graham Hossack was, you know, on a fast break, like had a shot on net, and you're thinking, like, how does that happen? That happens because Halifax and you know, Las Vegas as well, the good teams are always looking for the break, right? They're not, you know, you can have those kind of set up goals, like, you know, or set up for a good shot. That kind of thing is necessary as well. But if you can get the ball off of, you know, your goalie just made a save and you see somebody breaking, they're dishing that ball to them really quick. I mean, it's not like some other sports where it's likely to get intercepted or something, you know, like that. Like in lacrosse, if you see a breaking man, you can just launch it down the floor, and if it lands in his stick, he's probably got a pretty good chance, you know, to score. So Halifax's transition game looked really good, I thought, for sure. You know, Brendan Bonberry is a transition guy that has really started to come into his own in the last couple of weeks, and with more of that. Again, I mean, I think Halifax is hitting their stride. They're really starting to gain some momentum. And the transition game is a big part of that, right? It's not all offense. It's not all defense. It's about making sure that those opportunities that you get when you are in the offensive zone are as good as possible. And a lot of that comes from, you know, guys going in one side of the bench and, you know, an offensive guy coming out the other side and getting a good scoring opportunity. So, yeah, that's a big part. It's a you know, a good thing that you picked up on. The transition game is working for Halifax for sure.
Look at Andrew go. Look at Andrew go. He's picking up things along the way. Here we go. Here we go. Jeremy, the one thing that I just want to give a little shout out to Stephen Keogh, because a couple episodes ago, when they first signed him, a few episodes ago, I should say now, I was saying, well, are the Thunderbirds really going to benefit from signing this guy? Because he's a little bit older, and I know they could use the veteran presence. They could also use a young stud that can score goals, which they might have just got in Casey Wilson. Who knows? Once he comes off that ACL, we might very well see. But with Keogh, I thought they might not really benefit with this guy. And here he is a couple weeks later, and he just came off a hat trick performance. So look at him proving me wrong. And maybe this is the offense that we've talked about all season. They've had the offense has been right there, but they've never really been able to get over the hump, and they've came from behind in the second half, but they've never really been able to pull it off. This time they do, and the offense is coming alive. A couple of hat tricks and a couple of people with multi-point games, so everyone's really scoring. The depth is coming out here late in the season.
Yeah, well, you know, the way I looked at it, DC, is that you were just asking the question, right? Like, are they going to benefit from this guy? And I mean, he's someone who had been on the roster in the past, and I think he just fit back in there like he'd never left, sort of thing, right? So maybe on some other teams, some guys don't fit in quite as well. I mean, I'm not saying that he didn't anywhere else, but he's got a place on the Thunderbirds roster, and he plays his role really well. So we're only seeing him get better and better on this team week to week, right? So no, I wouldn't beat yourself up too much about that. I mean, that's a fair question. Things could have gone one way or they could have gone the other. Unfortunately, they're looking really good having Keogh in the lineup. You also mentioned Casey Wilson, and that's something I was hoping we would get to. That's a 4th overall pick last year, right? So this is a guy who, like, I mean, if you're getting a 4th overall pick, that's a big deal. Unfortunately, Halifax fans have to say sayonara to, you know, a stalwart, a fan favorite, Tyson Bell. I mean, he even had a great game in his last one, right? He caused like 3 turnovers. He got a pair of assists. We are going to miss Tyson Bell at the nest on the Halifax Thunderbirds roster for sure. You know, and a couple of draft picks, conditional ones, going out the door as well. But, you know, big shoes to fill for a guy like Casey Wilson, and from the scouting report says that if anybody can do it, it is this guy. Now, yeah, he's been on Las Vegas roster ever since they drafted him, but hasn't played just yet. We're thinking that is an injury, and I'm not sure that means we get to see him, in a Thunderbirds sweater this season. Maybe it's a long-term play. I mean, I think he's a big get for the future for sure. So hate to see Tyson Bell go. Maybe at some point, similar to Keogh, we see him make his way back to the Thunderbirds roster. I know fans would be really happy about that. But I do think that this is a good move for Halifax's future to bring a guy like Casey Wilson. He's got a brother on the team. He's a guy who's been very good so far in his career elsewhere outside of the NLL. And a 4th overall pick, as mentioned. I mean, we got to look at that as we're bringing a guy who could really make a big impact for the Thunderbirds on board. It's just a matter of when we, get to see him suited up.
So I guess my question about this weekend's matchup is, I'm going to the game now, so I'm even more curious. But what should we know about their opponent? The style of play, their star players, or recent form. Anything we should know about this one? How it differentiates from the last couple games? Set the stage for us. I feel like when you see a lot of NLL previews, they don't want to be harsh or critique anybody, but how do we honestly stack up in this one to you, Jeremy? What do you think about this matchup?
So this is a team that's 7-5 now, right? The Toronto Rock. So they're in 6th spot out of those 8 playoff spots. We're a couple of spots back. Buffalo, San Diego, and Rochester are just slightly ahead of us, and then it's Toronto. So fair play to them. They're firmly in a playoff spot for now, and they are a team with a better record. They've got a couple of guys similar to, how we have Peterson and Stotts, who are not at the absolute top of the scoring list, but they're, in that kind of same range as our guys. So it's another one where, I see them matching up pretty similarly. But Halifax can really do a number on some of these teams when it comes to their defense, right? The goaltending is a big part of that as well. But having guys like Hossack who are going to slow down those big opportunities gives Warren Hill an even better chance of having a great night, and gives the Thunderbirds, a really good chance of being able to come out on top, right? So the way I look at it is I see Halifax having a really good chance at coming out victorious once again, going on this what would be a 3-game win streak, which would just be absolutely huge for our guys, especially at this point in the year. They've got to, have a good transition game, as you mentioned. They've got to be playmaking the way Jameson has been playmaking, Peterson putting the ball in the net. These are kind of obvious, right? We need our guys who Stats would be another one. We need him in the game for sure. Pretty awesome that the team's able to step up when he isn't around, because he is their top goal scorer. But if they don't have him, that's a bit of a blow. If he's in the game, we're looking really good for sure. We need another big game out of Warren Hill. Again, what else is new? But looking around the league, it's another one where, again, it's at this point in the season where almost everything really matters, especially to, our boys' chances of making it into the playoffs. Philadelphia and Oshawa are playing again. That's not really a big deal because those are the two, bottom of the standings teams right now. Colorado and Buffalo, some heavy hitters. So, probably want to see Colorado come out on top of that and have Buffalo, fall a little bit. They're 6-6 right now. So they're at that magic 500 number, like we've talked about. Top end teams like Vancouver and Georgia are squaring off. Ottawa and Calgary is one where, Calgary's not likely to win that one. We were very thankful that they were able to beat Rochester last week. We were all cheering for them, obviously. I'm not so sure that they're going to take Ottawa out. And honestly, maybe that's for the better, because if Calgary were to put another one in the win column, they wouldn't be too far off our heels. And then another really important one that I want to mention, San Diego, that, just edged us out a couple of weeks ago and are just right above us here. There's San Diego and Rochester that are just kind of right above us at 6-6 and 5-6 respectively. San Diego's taken on the top team in the league, the Saskatchewan Rush. So we're just hoping that the Saskatchewan Rush gets back to, their winning ways, the way they were, and they take care of San Diego, because that would go a long way in our playoff push as well. So lots of stuff to keep an eye on around the league. And that's not even to mention that Rochester and Las Vegas are playing, the two teams that are straddling Halifax right now in the, the hunt for the playoffs. So that's another one. I mean, I don't think both of those teams can lose. One of them has to win. I'm not sure which one is better. It's kind of one of those things where, like I said, let's not do the math. Let's just plug our ears, close our eyes, and just hope that the Thunderbirds come out victorious, because as long as they do, then, we're happy going into another week of lacrosse action.
Just win.
Just win, baby.
Jeremy, I've got one more question for you. You probably know what it is at this point of the season. Can we please get a final score prediction?
Yes, and I mean, I don't want to toot my own horn too much, but the last couple of predictions have looked pretty good. Like, I've been off by like a goal. I don't know how I'm doing it. 13-11 against Las Vegas. My prediction was 12-10. So, I mean, that's not bad, right? That's pretty close. And that's really good for in terms of both teams, right? I'm not even just kind of looking at it going, okay, well, you almost had one of them, but the other one was way off. So I don't know. I've just been getting lucky, and obviously that reverse curse has gone away, because I picked Halifax to win the last 2 weeks, and they've actually done it. I'm picking Halifax to win again. I'm thinking that we're going to see a bit of a more defensive battle, and maybe one where both teams are trying to limit those offensive, firepower guys from getting the really good chances. So I am going to say that on Friday night at the Nest, the Halifax Thunderbirds come away with the win against the Toronto Rock, 9-8. Close one once again.
Oh man, I like it. I want to be there for a close game, but a win at the same time. Love the attitude from today. Just win. Just win. Bill Belichick style. Do your job, guys. Do your job. And they'll keep moving forward. It's great stuff, Jeremy. We'll be talking to you, of course, next week. And I'll try and post some pictures. Good thing is I won't be getting heckled like you were, because it'll be a home game. So I won't have to deal with that. But it seems like you had a really good time.
Much friendlier, I'm sure. Yeah, no, it was a good time in Calgary, a couple of weeks ago. But like I said, those fans, they're passionate there, and they'll let you know if you show up wearing an opposing team jersey for sure.
All right, man. Take care. Enjoy the games.
Thanks, fellas. All the best.
See you, Jeremy.
Oh man, I am pumped for this game, but also I just kind of love the idea, the fact that it's like it feels like a win or go home for the rest of the season, right? So it's like you're not going to a game where it's like, oh, if you lose, it's whatever, Daeden. It's like, no, you have to win. There's no other option.
Andrew, you basically are going to a playoff game.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what it is at this point of the season. Like when even in like hockey, sometimes if your team's like trying to fight, like in the NHL, if your team's fighting for a wild card spot, or the Mooseheads, it's the end of the regular season, but it's almost the playoffs, because they're trying to fight with the teams to get into a better playoff spot. So who knows what's going to happen? Everything's on the line pretty much. So everything gets a whole lot better, a whole lot more intense. When the intensity goes up, I think the skill level kind of goes up, because people aren't scared to try the things that they usually wouldn't do. So who knows what you're going to see this weekend at the Thunderbirds game.
You need the best. You need their best. That's for sure. So that's what ultimately when it comes down to, if whatever you have in you, you got to give that for these last couple games here. Guys, again, we're covering all the Halifax teams, Wanderers, Mooseheads, Thunderbirds, local university sports as well. You guys can find us twice a week, Mondays and Thursdays, podcasting platforms, as well as YouTube. So if you're enjoying the show, thanks for being here. And coming up, we got a little bit of Moosehead talk. Not too much today, because it's just two games, the same two teams here. But Moose and Sea Dogs, Eastern Conference, 7-8. It's an understatement to say how big these games really are here, Dave. We got one team that enters this with actually, I was going to say 2 losses in their last 5 games. Both of them 3-2 their last 5 games here. Looking at the records, we got 28 wins for the Mooseheads, though 21 wins on the season for the Sea Dogs. But the big thing for me in this one is the head-to-head stuff. I always find that stuff interesting. And looking at the last couple games between these teams here, 4-3, 5-2, 5-2. So as much as this Mooseheads team has been playing some better defensive hockey, Daeden, it sounds like when these two teams battle it out, it's typically some higher scoring games.
You look at that 5-2, 5-2, and actually I thought it was going to start I thought it was going to start being like the Cape Breton and Halifax series where everything's 5-2. But no, the one thing that kind of caught my eye about the Halifax Mooseheads when you go head to head with the Sea Dogs is that the Sea Dogs have a much better special teams, and the Mooseheads kind of need some work right now. 75% on the PK and 20% on the PP. Not gonna cut it when it comes down to the power play. When you get down to the playoffs, in the playoffs, you need the power play and the penalty kill to kind of be your bread and butter because you have to execute on those chances. And when you get those chances at prime opportunities, you have to convert on those. And if you don't, it's kind of a failed, wasted opportunity. And the Mooseheads have kind of, for lack of better terms, been pretty poor on the special teams lately. So we'll need to step that up. Who knows what's going on at practice? Maybe they are, I'm pretty sure they are aware of their special teams number and they've obviously are trying to work something out. Who knows? But that's just one thing I noticed that they're gonna have to work on coming down the end stretch, because they've also got Newfoundland coming up after this. We won't touch on that too much, but I do know Newfoundland is a pretty offensively gifted team when it comes to the power play.
Yeah, those fans in St. John's have been they've been gifted themselves to a fun team to watch the first year for that team. So it's been great for them, and that's what you want to see, hopefully, for an expansion team, or I guess not really an expansion team. I guess it is, but they took over a team. So
right.
Yeah,
relocated team.
Yeah, relocated. But we saw last week something we didn't see for a while, which we discussed on Monday, which was, having the ability to win both games of a home and home, of a back-to-back. And it's going to be so key, but also both games have the same scoreline, right? So having the ability to win those defensive games is so huge. Because, I remember in the NFL, I think back to 2 seasons ago, the Kansas City Chiefs, and we all know how great they've been for years. They had one of the best records in the league in games decided within 3 points or fewer. And it could have gone easily the other way, and they could have been like a 500 team, or you're like a 750 team, and you're a dominant franchise. So for this Mooseheads team to win both those games 3-2, one in a shootout, one in overtime, you easily could have walked away and said, man, we played so well, but we went 0-2 this weekend. But they got the job done. And so that's the big key for this weekend is, hey, bring that momentum, bring that clutch factor. And two guys right now that are just playing unbelievable hockey. I got to shout out. I mean, we both know how important it is to have key players, but Kalibiakin, Sean Carrier, and Quinn Kennedy, a third guy I got to mention. I mean, carrying the team, bringing that consistency level. Daeden, is it one more game for the suspension, or is it over? I can't remember if it was 1 or 2 games, but either way, Kalibiakin looked good. One more game. So Sea Dogs known for physicality and known for their fast transition play. So the thing is, my goal for the Mooseheads here, I'm going to do my best to watch these games on Flow Hockey. I think bring them into an absolute dogfight. Keep it low scoring. Try and play good defensive hockey. Keep that playoff, that style of hockey alive. Don't get involved in these 1 to 5 goals wins. It's just not a healthy habit to get into.
Andrew, they've got 4 games left, 8 points on the table, and they're 6 points back of Cape Breton. If Cape Breton doesn't win out, there is a possibility of them jumping over the Eagles. This just proves how big those last 2 games were, although they did get a point. Actually, they got points in both because they both went overtime and shootout. So unfortunately, the Eagles did grab 2 points that weekend. But they're still huge wins. If they do win out, the Mooseheads do win out, they would jump over the Eagles, but it is a tough task.
Looking forward to a great weekend. Thunderbirds and Mooseheads. Next week, U-Cup arrives in Halifax, Scotiabank Center. St. Mary's the hosts. Of course, 2 other teams from the AUS in there as well, and we know how great UNB's been for a while. They're not going to go away. they're going to make some noise in that. So looking forward to a great next couple weeks. And do not forget, Wanderers coverage for us will start in a couple weeks, and look forward to having some great guests, whether it be journalists, whether it be players or coaches. Should be a great run of the next couple weeks here on Halifax Sports Talk. And as Daeden talked about, only a handful more games, all on the road for the Halifax Mooseheads before the playoffs begin. So thanks so much for watching. As always, guys, great podcast, great show. And Jeremy Keefe bringing his predictions, as always, hopefully getting another win for the Thunderbirds this weekend. We'll see you guys next time. All the best. Thanks for watching us on Halifax Sports Talk.